Where's my list of fucking take one. I began the Homeland Security series well, when Bush was elected, I thought I'd get an M16. And I think that was really before they invaded Iraq, but it was like that level of violence, that level of gun, Texas gun. And I've been interested for a long time in the fact that everybody knew about the AK-47, but nobody knew about the M16, which was developed really in Vietnam. So it'd been in the military for a long time as an assault weapon, but no one knew about the M16. And I had incorporated a weapon, an M16, leaning in the back of the room with a family having dinner, or lots of work that I've been doing. All of this had been computer-generated material, so the M16 was sort of always in people's lives, but never up front, you know. And I'd done various pieces really around the weapon itself, actually. But I wanted to show some way to show how ridiculous these weapons are in terms of life, obviously. I mean, it's serious. And so I had dressed up like Blackwater, even had a Blackwater hat, because at that time Blackwater was just a shooting range for special weapons, or for the CIA. It was complete, it was nothing. And by the time the Iraqi war was, let's call it the U.S. war, the Vietnam War was always called the American War by the Vietnamese. Blackwater became a massive operation, but I had a little Blackwater hat, I had a jacket pulled up with my weapon like this. As you can see, even here, see, I began to act out. And it didn't, this is naked, but I was driven to that because if you dressed up like these people, you were those people, period. You couldn't make it look ridiculous. It looked dangerous and very serious. And somehow or other, nakedness just began to make it much clearer in the sense that you had the human form, and I try to get by me because it was like easy to work with me. If I wanted to go off as a nice day and do it, I didn't have to get 25 people together and try to organize that operation. So, and sometimes I would just bring a friend along and they'd push the button on the camera. So there's a lot of material you'll see. But it was really, it took shape because suddenly the nakedness and the weapon, the juxtaposition, the yin-yang, the extreme of each of these together really made you think about what are you doing with this weapon? And no one was looking at that. No one was prepared to sort of say, security, that's not what happens. So, there's enough of that. That's where it started. Let's see. Yeah, it began right around the war. I don't know the best way to incorporate other material. Maybe I can just put that. The work that I've done, I started off as an artist, got drafted in the Army. This was in between. There were guys in my unit that had been to Vietnam. But I came back and in the mid-60s, and Mississippi, the civil rights movement was happening. And I had been tight with this end of the barracks, which was all black, because the white end was crackers, whip, cracking the whip crackers. I had no connection to how to get down to Mississippi, having just come back from Europe in a trucking outfit and a hospital, but that's a whole other story. And a friend had been down there working for Freedom Summer voter registration. I on the edge of making films, actually had begun to with a friend of mine. That film, actually, the first film, was for the CIA. But I went down to Mississippi with a Bolex, and my close friend had a tape recorder, and we started making movies. There were no film schools at that time. And we had a 16mm camera and a 1/4-inch Ure tape deck. No sync sound either. And we made a half-an-hour film about this group of people living in tents through the winter, which we did with them, and then in the spring went to the White House and put the tents up on the White House lawn. So that's like that very early work. And then I spent the next 20 years making documentary films everywhere from Hanoi in 1969, North Vietnam, to the Chicano Barrio in San Diego, major feature film. But last film was the history of the Grenadian Revolution, which was, I say, the history because we finished the film and the U.S. invaded Grenada, at which point I came up here to Vermont and started working in computer graphics, and that was very early, 1985. And so that's what I did. That's what I did before I got into this. They've done quite a few of these. I think that it's over 50 different frames of this. And why not set this up so that you can actually look at these frames here. Hang on a second. Yeah, no, this is all cut down. I can cut it down if I've got some time or not. Let's see if this is the quickest here, probably. This isn't very high res, but it's a chance to see, yeah, some of these pics. And we'll go upstairs. I'll talk a little bit. I don't have to be in front of this thing. Wait a minute here. There. Got a little close-up of this going. Well, you can see some of the different settings for this. The island was fun. The state police came up in their boat and didn't ask a question. There I was standing naked on this island with my son standing off at a boat a little bit, and his girlfriend on shore taking frame by frame of me standing on this island naked with an M16. So I did a whole range. There are a couple yet I would love to do. But as you can see, there were a lot of different settings. The one coming up along in here, 4th of July, that was on the 4th of July. And it turned out it was a beautiful day, and the wind was blowing to hold the flags out, and I called a friend who lived not far away, and I said, come on, we got to do that. The cornfield, my daughter, standing on top of a ladder, took that. So you see a whole range of settings. There, you saw that hanging on framed on the wall behind. So yeah, there are a lot of different settings. And the motivation for the picture of the State House, Capitol Security. I actually started, well, let's go. This Capitol building picture actually started, inspiration was a fence club photograph of a class at Yale that a number of my old early classmates, when they went off to college, I didn't go there, but they went to Yale, and there's a picture of 3 or 4 people that I grew up with, some I knew quite well, not just from school even, and they're standing there with Negroponte and Goss and Bush and all. That's Negroponte and Goss, of course, all headed the CIA and National Intelligence and so forth. It was all classmates at Yale. And they're all standing there in their little suits with big smiles on their faces. So I went to a friend, a photographer, Dan Higgins, and set up a green screen, and I started posing. And I decided, no, I can't do this thing. It's too complicated in terms of standing on chairs and everything. So I just began to film this stuff on green screen. Now, if I block this picture a little bit, you can see me, but maybe that's not important. But so I wound up working with a lot of figures for a Dead and Wounded show, which I was thinking about at that point. So it was no longer these guys defending the homeland so much as dead and wounded in the process of that endeavor. And so I wound up then with a lot of figures, dead and wounded, and figured to put where to put that. And so I had a photograph of the State House from a while back, and so just began to piece all of these sprawled out, dying, dead and wounded figures on the State House. And instead of Capitol, it really is money, capital. That's why if someone doesn't get it, then they can understand that, then we're a little further along. Take good care, you all. Some question as to what do you say to somebody who says just don't get it? And let's see, at that point, I'd say don't get what? Anyway, this was a blue screen portrait that was taken with the idea from the Yale Defense Club picture of everybody, and you get a chance to see where some of the old Homeland Security pictures led. I'm just thinking, where can I maybe find you another, oh boy, I can't seem to find, well, here's the original Capital. This again, as I say, is a picture that hasn't been shown a lot at various museums. There's a gallery here in town that will not show naked pictures or guns, and I don't know about catheter pictures, but that's probably one of the strongest pieces that have come out of Dead and Wounded, I mean out of Homeland Security that led to new work. Yeah. And all the while I was looking for the big Dead and Wounded print, which I'll find shortly, I'm sure. Well, there's one that you might like. This is a French camera crew interviewing me for a show in Nice, in France, and then piece them all together for a whole shot of many naked Johnnies guarding the castle. Yeah, there you go. I found it. There you go. That's not been shown widely. Anyway, another picture my daughter took. It's too bad they're not framed at all, but hey.